Hey Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs Podcast presented by Blue Moon. Made brighter, get Blue Moon delivered and see delivery options by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Welcome. Happy Tuesday. Cody Delmendo, Ryan Herrera. Jared Wyllys will be joining us at some point in this podcast. He's out, boots on the ground, as our good friend Luke Stuckmeyer would say. Boots on the ground, out in Arizona. He's going to be out there for a lot of the spring breakout stuff later this week. But
it'd be great.
He's there early. Credit to him. So stay tuned for that. But we got a few things before we start the show. First off, happy 312 day, and I say that because we got more diehards. Because Chicago sports fans are different, so I got to acknowledge the entire city.
312 Chicago, you know, it's great. Obviously the area code, but it's Chicago's thing, you know.
Exactly.
And it's a great day in Chicago. It's like 70 degrees right now.
Right. Oh, it's a beautiful day. I'm wearing shorts
Yeah.
in March. This is incredible.
Barb, we're live.
Barb, we are live. Welcome. We haven't seen you for the last couple shows. Good to see you here. But shout out to our new diehards. We didn't mention them yesterday, and I think it's just because our bosses didn't let us know who the new diehards were. So I blame them. So I'm going to give you guys today's and Fridays because we didn't have a show Friday, or at least me and Ryan didn't. So we have Adam, Charles, Zach, Kendrick, Kent, Matt, and Steven. Thank you all for becoming diehards. Because of you, I get to have a job. I appreciate you.
Yeah, it's nice. It keeps the lights on in
It
here.
keeps the lights on, brother.
I like money.
And also,
I love money.
You're also just, you're part of something different. You're part of something really special. Yeah. We're building something really great here. So
Barb says she wasn't feeling well, so.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better now, Barb, because you're here.
And she's with the diehards.
And you're with the diehards today, all right? Yeah. Speaking of everyone in the YouTube chat, please hit the like button. I appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. And also, that new Chicago collection is out. Didn't mention it yesterday. Got to mention it today. It's the perfect time to get in on this. All right.
Beautiful.
It's incredible. So I can't talk.
It's incredibly.
It's
incredibly what, Cody?
Great. All right.
Also, on top of that, which is amazing, we got beanies or something? Different colored beanies now?
We forgot to mention that yesterday.
Yeah.
We've had a beanie.
Sarah's bringing them up.
Yeah, Sarah's bringing them up right now, but we've had like a black beanie that you could have got over the last year or two. But now we have multiple colors of this beanie. And listen, I wear a lot of black, all right? So I'm like, I would get the black one, but maybe not everyone's like me. So you can get the CHGO beanie.
Sarah's struggling to get it up. Sorry, I put you on the spot.
And
there it is.
They have what? How many different colors? 6, 7 different colors, Sarah?
Something like that. There we go. Oh, we got it.
There it is.
There we go.
There we go, Sarah. Black,
navy, red,
green,
dark green, gray, and white.
That green one would be great for St. Patrick's Day.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Great for St. Patrick's Day, but also matches the ivy.
Oh, there you go. Especially in April.
So when the ivy's not actually green or in April, you can bring the green to Wrigley.
Right.
There you go.
I see Gary in the chat said that his green CHGO shirt came in today.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Congrats, man. I knew you were going to be all over it. Yeah.
Shout out to Gary.
Shout out to Gary. Shout out to Fernando. Wrigley Man 1. He says the Die Hard card is sweet. I mean, not only is it sweet, but you can literally take it anywhere and get whatever you want with it. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, bro. All right? Evil Wax, I see you. Anyway, appreciate all you guys' support. It means a lot to us. So I just wanted to bring all this up before we really dive into what we got going on today. And obviously the Cubs had an off day yesterday, so not a ton of news going on right now. Mm-hmm. Like I said, Jared's going to join us. He's talking to Craig Counsell. I think he talked to Jordan Wicks as well. So I'm interested to hear what he's got coming from Craig Counsell and Jordan Wicks whenever he jumps on. But I was reading an article this morning from The Athletic from Sahadev Sharma, and he had some prospect updates, injury updates as well related to prospects. But Cade Horton was the big thing that I took away from his piece today. And he talked to, and correct me if I'm saying his name wrong, Ryan Otero, who's the Cubs director of pitching. He took over Craig Breslow's spot after he left to go to the Red Sox. He got the promotion at least. He was like the assistant or something like that. And it talks about how Horton was doing like live, like a simulated game. He faced Ian Happ and David Peralta. He struck out Ian Happ twice, induced some weak contact, whatever. It's like a simulated game, live BP, whatever. It's nothing too crazy. But some interesting comments from Otero related to Horton and how he could, potentially, get to the majors this year. So I'm intrigued. We haven't talked a ton about Horton. We've talked about his hype. We've talked about, potentially him getting to the majors this year, but obviously he didn't get a non-roster invite to spring training, and people question that. And Otero kind of said basically what we kind of thought at the time. Quote, "We do that pretty typically with our starter prospects just to make sure we control their workload and set them up for the season. Obviously, in Major League spring training games, there are other needs. We just want to make sure we're responsible with them. Obviously, with the injury history, and last year was his first real full season starter workload, we just want to make sure we're smart about that." And that's basically what we all kind of thought.
Yeah.
At least, talked ourselves into. At least that's what I did, right? So I'm curious to your thoughts here on Cade Horton.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's clearly in the pitching depth, not at the top for sure, but like starting pitching depth, he's definitely there. Like he has potential to be. Okay, Luke
has joined the chat. Wow.
From Cabo.
From Cabo, for sure.
Sipping margaritas out in Cabo.
Yeah.
Good for him. Cade Horton. Yeah, like I said, he's part of that starting pitching depth. He's not above some of those guys that have already made their debut or are right there. But he has a very real shot to make his own Major League debut this season, right? Like he just continues to move up levels and succeed there. And he's still so young that he's still so young and has plenty of development left, but the development he's already made from not even pitching in college for most of like his last season to like pitching in the College World Series to being drafted first, the Cubs' first round pick 2 years ago to, what he was able to do last year. He didn't, unlike Matt Shaw, who immediately went from Maryland after being drafted to, Arizona and got in games and was in Double-A by the end of the year. They took it a lot slower with Cade Horton. He didn't make his pro debut until 2023, so months after he had already been drafted. But what he was able to do last year was just eye-opening. And when you consider what this organization's like narrative has been for, the better part of a decade, where they're not developing their own pitchers, guys aren't moving through the system and cracking the big leagues and contributing. Obviously, that started to change with guys like Justin Steele and Adbert Alzolay and even some of the young arms that have some promise. Daniel Palencia, Luke Little are among those guys. But the narrative has already started to switch, and if Cade Horton feels like the next guy to really break through and really show like, hey, this is a guy we drafted in 2022. We developed him not too fast, but just he developed at a quicker pace, clearly, and now he's here and ready to contribute. This is the fruits of the labor of the last few years of us changing around our pitching infrastructure and all that stuff. So if the Cubs can say that at some point this year and Cade Horton can come up and really contribute to a team that hopes to be, competing for a playoff spot and expects to be in the playoffs, like that's huge for the organization itself, obviously, the pitching infrastructure side, but just for Cade himself, that's huge for him to go as quickly and as well through the system as he could.
Yeah. Horton after he returned from Tommy John surgery with Oklahoma, he pitched 53 2/3 innings in 2022, but once he got drafted, he didn't throw in any affiliated games.
Yep.
And then last year, his first full season in the minors, 88 1/3 innings across 3 levels. Otero didn't necessarily say that he's on an innings limit in 2024. But there has to be some sort of line in there for him because of the injury history. And that's the smart way to go about it. He's young.
Well, that's why he didn't pitch after getting drafted until the next season. It was partly be like, hey, this guy did have Tommy John surgery in the recent past. Like we want to make sure we're doing this the right way. Like that's the Cubs thinking with it.
Yeah, and I'm okay with it. When I talk about how we've talked a little bit about him this offseason, especially when there was absolutely nothing going on in like free agency and stuff like that. Like Greg Huss came on our show and said, June, you could see him in June. I'm curious to how the Cubs are going to use this guy. Are they going to, he has elite stuff, obviously, that, he's highly touted. Will they, to save him on innings, will they use him out of the bullpen to start and then maybe give him some chances to start down the road later in the season? Or will he get a chance to start because of an injury, which we're seeing all kinds of injuries across the league so far this spring? It wouldn't surprise me if something like that happened. I'm not sure. I really don't know how they plan to use him here in what could be his rookie season, but I do think no matter what, if he comes up and has success, he has the talent to potentially add a few wins to this Cubs roster or Cubs win total, I think, if put into the starting rotation, and again, if he has success, because they just don't have a lot of guys like him. A guy who can really strike out some dudes, at least that's what he's shown throughout his minor league and college career. Like they need some of that. And clearly them not going after Blake Snell or any of these other guys, Yamamoto, they clearly believe that Cade Horton can be that guy, right? Yeah. So I think I would lean to choose that they would probably just put him into the rotation because that's how they've used him in the minors. But if they don't have any injuries and they want that, maybe they have some injuries in the bullpen instead, maybe they go that route. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't myself. My gut feeling is that it's like I'm trying to compare it to Justin Steele, obviously, right? Like when Steele came up, even Keegan Thompson, both expected to be starting pitchers, but both came up in 21, getting their feet wet in relief. And that was kind of the route they took. And then obviously Steele has since transformed into a number one starter for the Cubs. But I don't know that they go that same route with Cade. And it's different for everyone, right? Like no one's going to go through the same type of thing. But you're looking at it as not that it would be a shock if Cade Horton made his debut this year, but it would be like, okay, that was pretty quick. It wouldn't be like, okay, no, he's definitely 100% making his debut this year. Like this is the year that it's been targeted to bring him up. Like no, it would still be relatively quick compared to when he got drafted and when he made his pro debut. So I don't know if they'd rush him up, and especially in a relief role. I know they feel really good about what they have in the bullpen and the depth. So, yeah, I don't know. I do think my gut would tell me if he were to come up, it would be as a starter. Injuries happen, the regular churn of the roster happens, and you never know what the Cubs are going to need in July or August or September, which, especially in that rotation. So that's a scenario where if he's ready to go and they need that help in the rotation, you could certainly see him come up and help, and it may not be completely every fifth day, but more than spot starts as well. So I think my gut would tell me that the idea is wanting to bring him up when he's ready to start, and part of that's on the innings limit too. So you know what, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence now. I just mentioned that like there may be not specifically an innings limit, but a desire to not push through what they want his workload to be. So it could be a way to. Maybe he starts games, but they have a piggyback ready to go after a few innings, right? Or maybe he does become a multi-inning guy out of the bullpen or whatever it is. Again, my gut is that keeping a guy that you really feel could be a strong part of your rotation moving forward, keeping him on that starter schedule, but figuring out ways to still limit how big the workload can be. I do think I think that would play a part in it. So I think my gut would still be that he would come up as a starter and make starts for the team. But, things do change, needs happen, needs arise, and guys do have to be flexible with different things. So it's definitely not something I'm like completely feel strongly about.
Sure. When you say like things change, there's needs, all these things that all happen, it can all happen so quick as we've seen, and guys' roles change, and some guys get a longer leash than others, especially if the team is competitive, right? If they're in the race, and so I don't know. I do think that they envision him to be part of something, to at least make his debut this year for sure. I do envision that at the very least. Obviously, looking forward to how they view him in 2025 more so. But Barb asked about like the Cubs getting another pitcher.
Well, she asked specifically if you have
texted Jed
about getting
Barb. I can confirm to you, Barb. I don't have Jed Hoyer's number. Ryan does, but I don't.
Possible.
But we did talk about Tyone yesterday and his injury, and we talked about the possibilities of what the Cubs could do and whatnot. I bring this up too just because Snell and Montgomery's still available. Garrett Cole hurt. Maybe one of them are more likely to go to the Yankees now. The Yankees are talking with the White Sox about Dylan Cease. And in general, I bring it all up because we've just seen a lot of injuries from pitchers this spring. And at this point, I feel very fortunate that the Cubs have remained healthy in the starting pitching department outside of Tyone. And again, his isn't like an arm injury or a shoulder injury like some of these other guys that are sustaining it. Like, it's just lower back tightness. And I think he misses, again, like I said yesterday, I think 1 to 2 starts. But obviously you need more time to really confirm that. But it's not in a serious point to where, to me, it feels like it's some like panic mode that you have to go and sign one of those guys now, in my opinion. But as far as relating this to Cade Horton, it's just like down the road in this season, if a guy like in the rotation is hurt, like where on the totem pole do the Cubs have him? Like, I think Wesneski will get an opportunity to start some games, obviously. Javier Assad will get some opportunities to start some games probably. Drew Smiley will probably get some opportunities to start some games, as much as people don't want to hear it. Like, those are probably the 3 guys, but then how much do they want to see him pitch in Double or Triple A? Like, that's another question, is where will he start? Will they start him in Double A again, or start him in Double A this season, or will they start him in Triple A? Felt like he did pretty well. He went from Myrtle Beach to Double A last year, right?
Yeah.
So
I know they said in the article that they haven't
decided.
Yeah, and that's like when I was still out in Arizona. That was still it's still kind of the same message from when I was still out there. So that hasn't really changed, but yeah, I mean, again, if I'm going by my gut, probably start him in Double A. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at it. He made 6 starts there last year when he was called up. I don't know. It kind of depends, because he did have, like, as far as his ERA was 1.33 in those 6 starts, 27 innings, so solid numbers. But the strikeout rate did go down, the walk rate did go up a little bit. Not like exponentially that you should be worried about it, but it was clearly there's like that
adjustment phase.
Yeah, the adjustment, just jumping from just being promoted to another level. So
sure.
I feel like maybe if he does start the season at Double A, it doesn't feel like it'd be for long before he's
like maybe
up to Triple A.
Maybe 4 or 5 starts.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, what did our friend Greg Huss say?
Greg Huss came on our show in the winter and told me and us, but I feel like he looked me in the eye and told me this, that Cade Horton will be on the Chicago Cubs in June. I felt like he looked me straight in the eye.
I think he said 6 starts, right? He needs at most give him 6 starts and he'll be ready.
Yeah.
I don't know if I feel as strongly that way about it as Greg. Like, I definitely think they'd want to get him just more into the season, more into that rhythm. And obviously, if it's gonna be 6 starts, he can't really struggle. Like, he he's got to he's got to just have complete success right away to make it that quick. So I don't know if I expect that, because a lot of guys, especially as they're moving up levels and all that stuff, they may have some struggles, a little bit of an adjustment period. Even if it's a start or two, it could happen. So I don't know that I feel like it's going to be that fast as strongly about it as our friend Greg Huss says. But I also, again, I don't think if he starts the season at AA, I don't expect him to be down there that long. And if he's starting at AAA, that probably cuts down a little bit on how long it would be till he comes up. So
Sure. I'll say this much. If he's there longer, I hope it's just because the Cubs pitching staff has been very healthy and very good. Yeah. Because entering the season, again, if Taillon has to miss, I'll even go 3 to 4 starts. Say he misses April. I still feel pretty good about the Ass Man or Drew Smiley or Wesneski taking some of those starts. I do. I really do. And I'm fine with that. Now, if everyone else in the rotation does their part, we feel great about Steele. Great interview with him yesterday. Imanaga, sure, we expect some growing pains or some sort of, adjustment period because he's going from playing in Japan to here. We expect Kyle Hendricks to be Kyle Hendricks because he's healthy and he's not going through a rehab this entire offseason or anything like that. We can't forget what he did last year coming off an injury, coming into this year healthy, and honestly out here probably still trying to prove that he deserves at least some decent money, okay? Because he's basically in a walk year for him, right? And then Jordan Wicks trying to prove that he belongs in the rotation in the major leagues, all these things. So at this point, outside of Taillon, I'm feeling good about this rotation. I feel good about the depth that they have. So I guess what I'm saying again is if Horton comes up, if he gets more starts in the minors or whatever, I hope it's just because the rest of the rotation is just doing their part.
Yeah, I mean, that would be ideal. Yeah. Again, in the sense of if you're tying it back to Horton, that would be ideal that you don't have to, and not that I expect the Cubs to rush him up, right, but you're not that's not in the back of your mind at all. If the rest of the rotation is doing their job and guys that may need to fill in for Taillon are at least giving the Cubs a chance to win, so that's an ideal scenario. Obviously, it's okay. This rotation is doing well. The guys we have making spot starts, filling in, they're also doing well. The pitching staff's doing well enough that we don't have to worry. We can continue to keep Horton at the pace he's at. Yeah, I think that's just the ideal scenario where, again, I don't expect the Cubs to see it as, oh my God, the rotation's struggling. We need to move Cade as fast as possible. Mm-hmm. I don't expect them to do that. I think that I just don't think. I just honestly think they're smarter than that. They're not going to risk something or risk the development process for Cade Horton just to get him up to the big leagues. If he's ready, they will. If he shows them that he's ready, totally I could see them doing that. But until that development and that is proven by him, I wouldn't expect them to rush him through the system just to get him up to the major league. So, again, it's just as long as the rest of the rotation does well, then that part's not – you don't have to worry about that part.
Right.
So we'll see.
Your MacBook is –
It is on fire.
I was going to say, Ryan, do you mind moving it to the other table? Thanks.
Can everyone hear it?
Yeah, I was it went away. That's so weird. Yeah, it was sitting too close to his mic.
It is breathing and I have I literally 8 tabs open.
I know. I literally slacked him. I was like, Ryan, is your laptop breathing really hard?
It is. It's been doing this for a long time, and it's 4 years old, so I guess it's time to get a new one, but I don't have the money for that, and I'm hoping it survives another season, but yeah, I'll open up 6 tabs, and all of a sudden my laptop will just be yelling at me, basically. So I don't know what to do with it. But it was really hot on my legs, so that's why I moved it.
Yeah. Look at the chat. We got one of the things that I have enjoyed about the YouTube chat over the offseason is a lot of people, or specifically the spring, I guess I could say, is a lot of people excited about the young players. Mike says Wicks looks lights out. Wasn't even throwing his changeup. Probably he's talking about his last outing. He did look really good in his last outing. Again, Jared talked to Jordan Wicks today. Hopefully he has some good stuff from him whenever he joins. Yeah. He also mentions, Mike mentions Ben Brown as well. There's a lot of upside with the Cubs pitching staff. Of course, a lot of it is unproven, but there's a lot of upside, a lot of things to be excited about, right? So that's my big optimistic thing going into this season. So Barb is asking, can Stuckey buy you a new laptop and write it off on his income tax?
I'm totally with that. Absolutely.
Luke is in the chat, I believe, so maybe Stuckey can confirm.
Come on, Stuckey.
Yeah.
Stuckey's got the big bucks. We know that. He's got at least 4 Emmys.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
he can afford a laptop for old Ryan.
Jake says the laptop sounded like a bomb.
I mean, hey, it will be sitting, and I'll have all the apps closed, everything, and it'll be sitting in my backpack. And I was at the airport coming back from Arizona.
Yeah.
And literally, I could feel it just overheating in my backpack, like making my back sweat because it was so hot. So,
DFW Susie Diehard, all those tabs are tuned into Selena Gomez's Insta feed. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
No, but I don't know if I did it on the show, but I had to call out Sarah. Selena Gomez posted a photo on Instagram or a series of photos wishing Benny Blanco happy birthday, saying he loved him. And it made me really upset. And then I
reposted it.
And then I looked, and Sarah had liked it.
Oh,
so just
no.
Absolutely unsupportive.
Me and Ryan in shambles from our celebrity crushes this weekend. Vanessa Hudgens is pregnant, and Sarah's liking Selena Gomez's pictures related to Benny Blanco.
I know.
Just no support. No support from our producer, Sarah.
Please send us thoughts and prayers.
If we could get Selena Gomez in studio,
this place would go crazy.
The best day of my life.
If Selena Gomez was in this place, that'd be crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know. Me and Sarah have issues to work out after that one. We'll let you know. I'll update you on how that goes.
Well, I don't even know what to say to this, but I was trying to think of a good transition, but I'm just going to tell you about Empire anyway. All right. Yeah. With Empire Today, you get shop-at-home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring, so of course they have copycats. But Empire can't be beaten on quality, service, speed, so competitors advertise low-quality products that Empire simply won't carry. Empire won't promise the lowest prices because anyone who does that is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in theirs. They keep shopping for floors simple with a curated product selection. Their philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. What they leave out of their selection is as important as what they put in. Empire's product team exhaustively combs through thousands of product samples each year to find the perfect styles. Their virtual floor designer is a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. It's easy, just snap a picture and instantly see how new floors will look in your room. Shopping for floors at a big box store can be frustrating. You might talk to someone today who was working in plumbing yesterday, like Ryan, for example. All right.
It wasn't yesterday, but recently.
Yeah. Right? All right. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. Flooring is all Empire Today does. They live and breathe flooring, so you can be confident you're getting honest, upfront advice. They pride themselves on their convenient shop-at-home service. They help customers shop for floors where they use their floor so they can see exactly what their new floors will look like in their homes, lighting, and decor, so they can make an informed decision. If an issue does arise, just call Empire. They service all warranties themselves. You won't have to track down a manufacturer's phone number. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount, guys. $350.
Can't find that anywhere else.
All you got to do is use promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details. Just like that. He's going to be Jared's joining in, but Ryan, we got to cheers a Blue Moon to that.
We do got to cheers a Blue Moon for Boots on the Ground.
For Boots on the Ground.
Presented by Blue Moon. Blue Moon's got our back. Boots on the Ground. No, we love Blue Moon. We got Blue Moon stuck in the fridge right now.
Oh my!
I was thinking about grabbing one.
So yesterday, our boss, our fearless leader, Jake Flanagan. Well, actually, it was one of our sales guys, Jim. sales guy Jim. He drags me into Jake's office, and he's like, "I have a surprise for you. You got to see this." And he drags me into Jake's office, and like, lo and behold, it's like a baseball jersey that says Blue Moon across it.
You can't beat that.
You can't.
I want one. Where's mine, Jim?
I'm probably going to wear it on the show at least a few times.
You said it's in there.
This summer.
I'll grab it.
All right. It had that real old-timey, like it definitely
1925.
had. Yeah. So there's no way I'm going to be wearing that at beautiful historic Wrigley Field. But here, I will. Yes.
No, it looks like a classic jersey and one that everyone would want. Mm-hmm. But again, it's a Blue Moon jersey, and everything that Blue Moon does is amazing. Blue Moon made brighter. Get Blue Moon delivered and see delivery options by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
All right. Just in time, like he dialed in as we're doing the ad reads. Jared Wyllys is here. He's got the beard going. The hair looks immaculate. Jared, I have to ask you the most important question. Like, how do you do this?
How do I do the beard, the hair?
Yeah.
What
do you do? Just how do you do you, bro? How do you do you?
It is a mystery to me as well. So
it's a routine passed down through the Willis household for generations.
Many generations. My grandfather, great-grandfather.
I feel like that's the hardest question you'll get. You weren't expecting it clearly, but, I just wanted to throw you a curveball,
I appreciate it. Keeping me on my toes. I was up early this morning, so
there you go.
Make sure I'm awake.
How was the trip to Arizona? You get in comfortably? You feeling good?
Yeah, it was good. Nice early flight, which I think is the way to go. It's hard to get up early, but that's the way you got to do it. Airport's not too busy yet. Plane wasn't even full. I had a seat between me and the guy next to me, so can't complain.
Yeah, and Jared, you're at the our friends. You're staying with our friends at the Gila River Resort and Casino Vicuiva, I believe.
I sure am. Yes.
That's
beautiful place. Yeah, looking forward to spending some time there.
Yeah, at CHGO Spring Training, hotel accommodations are provided by our friends at the Gila River Resort and Casino Vicuiva. It's the place for Chicago baseball fans to stay when visiting the Phoenix area. So if you are planning to head west to catch Cactus League games like Jared is right now, or you're traveling to the desert throughout the year, call 1-800-946-4452 or visit play@gila.com. Yeah, it's a great. We had a great time when we were staying there. I was there for like 16 days, something like that, and loved it. It was amazing.
It's a good spot.
Yeah. So what?
Go ahead, man.
First day out there. What updates we got? What were we able to see while we were out there?
Well, right now as I speak, the Cubs are in a team meeting. So, waiting to hear from Craig Counsell after this, and don't know if they're, are we talking more roster decisions? Are they sending some more guys to minor league camp? Those kinds of things, because as opening day gets to be closer and closer, we're just about 2 weeks out now from needing to have that 26-man roster set. So don't want to speculate too much, but the sense is around here that may be kind of what will be coming down here a little bit later this afternoon. Otherwise, I got a chance to chat with Jordan Wicks for a little while and just talk to him about, where he's at with things now that the rotation mix is looking a little different than what we thought it was going to look like a week or so ago. He talked a lot about, as you would expect, kind of keeping up with the work that he's been doing, not really necessarily changing his approach to things, but also there is a sense of, he was in the discussion before, but now his responsibility is going to be a little bit larger, at least to start the season. So he's working on, he said, taking what he did against major leaguers last season and adjusting his pitch mix and his approach, kind of knowing how teams approached him last year.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, that's we're looking at it as originally it was this fifth starter competition.
Right.
Now, obviously, with Jameson Tyone potentially missing the beginning of the year, it would open up another spot. But just how are you looking at that competition for potentially two spots, and just having talking to Wicks, what's your sense of how he feels about it and what his kind of mentality is?
Yeah. His mentality, I think, is he's gone from I'm fighting for a spot to really I'm going to start the season with a spot. And I think that's a much different feeling for a guy in his position who doesn't have a ton of major league experience yet. But then otherwise, yeah, we're looking at, Hayden Wesneski, Drew Smiley, maybe even Javier Assad. I know we've talked about that, but that's what we'll see over the next couple of weeks is how some of those guys look and that may be a decision that comes down to that final week before we really know how that rotation is going to be set. Because the nice thing about it being the 5th rotation spot is that's not a guy you're going to be calling upon within the first week of the season or so anyway. So it's still very much kind of up in the air right now, but Wicks, at least he's ready to go with whatever his role is going to be.
I'm curious to how these last 2 spots in the rotation could actually, at least to start the year, because I'm not, until we get more information about Jamison Tyone, I don't think it's going to be some long-term thing. So I'm curious to how, especially with the fact that Jordan Wicks has only been in the majors for a month and a half. He's never pitched 30 starts, obviously. And I bring this up because Mike in the chat, he says Steele, Hendricks, Imanaga, Smiley plus Wicks piggyback, and then Assad plus Wesneski piggyback. I'm curious to the idea of that, and just because they did do a little bit of that last year. Now I know Craig Counsell is not David Ross, but from the pitching side, I'm sure Tommy Hotovy has some thoughts on a lot of this stuff too. What are your thoughts on that idea, Jared?
Yeah, the only reason I would hesitate with that, because it's not a bad idea necessarily, but I think the one guy I wonder about is Assad in particular, because of the value that he's shown out of the bullpen, being very versatile as a reliever and being able to take on a few different roles. A guy who earned a ton of respect in that clubhouse last year. I know I've said it before, but I've never heard teammates talk about a guy the way they talk about Javier Assad. They have a ton of respect for him, and a lot of that is because he's the guy who comes in and does whatever is asked, whatever that looks like. So I do wonder, based on that, is that a guy that you'd lean more toward keeping him in the role that he's been in because he's been so good at it and has been so valuable to the team there?
Yeah, I also look at it as if you're penciling in for sure piggybacks, and especially if it's 2 of them, that's 2 relievers you really don't have the ability to use in other games, or you have to use them in situations and then you have to switch up your whole plans for the piggyback. So I mean, maybe one way they one guy does. I don't know if I see them doing those 4 guys as piggybacks. I think that's trying to create too much of a plan ahead of time versus actually going by how things work out. That would be my gut feeling with it.
And I agree. I think anytime you have to take somebody out of your bullpen mix from the get-go, that always, you don't want to put yourself in that position if you can help it. So yeah. I'm not a fan of planning for the piggyback unless unless it's an emergency kind of situation.
Yeah. To your point about Assad and his value in the bullpen, wasn't it Mark Leiter Jr. last year that said that Assad is the best pitcher in baseball? Or one of the best pitchers in baseball?
Based off my question.
Oh, was it based off your question? I couldn't remember.
I remember that.
It's been so long since this. So sorry.
It was Leiter. And I remember, too, even Nico Horner spoke up and went on and on about Assad and how much he's liked and how much respect he has for him. I think that was during the White Sox series when they were on the South Side. So even position players, they love the guy.
Well, he's so versatile, right? And whether it was as a starter or as a middle relief / long relief, and hell, I feel like there was even some high leverage late innings he went out there. You put him in any role, he goes out there and excels in, at least last year. So And he was coming off the World Baseball Classic. He had success in that too. So I think I understand why a lot of people are high on Assad going into this year.
Yeah.
So,
real quick, Jared, back to Jordan Wicks. And again, like you said, you talked to him. We've gotten obviously opportunities to talk to him in the past. We had him on at the Cubs show, Luke and I, or at the Cubs convention, Luke and I. And what do you take away from just the way he talks, the way he, like to me, the way I describe it is it feels like he's got a really good head on his shoulders. A guy who, similar to Justin Steele, I talked about it yesterday, doesn't seem to get too high or low with anything. And for a guy as young as he is, only was 2021 when he got drafted by the Cubs, just made his debut in September. He seems to already kind of have a big leaguer mindset. Not that he's for sure going to start the season in the big leagues, even though I think that's our expectations, but he seems to already have the kind of mindset of like, I don't need to push things. I don't need to press in a way, right? Like let the things play out how they play out and go from there. What have you taken from your conversation with him and just how that mentality that he has overall?
Yeah, and that's actually, I when I talked to him, I kind of asked him about that a little bit. I said, hey, your mentality, does it change at all when when you see something like this, when a guy in the rotation gets injured? And I asked him a couple of different times in different ways, but he was very consistent about, like, I've got the things that I came into spring to work on, and I'm sticking with that plan and putting in the work that I'm supposed to do. And he said one of the things that you hear a lot of veteran guys say is, I know what I can control, I know what I can handle and take care of, and that's what I'm focusing on. So he does very much seem to have like a big leaguer mindset, and in many ways, it feels like talking to a guy with a lot more major league experience than he has, which I think bodes well for what will be a test if he does become a regular in the rotation this season.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Jared?
Yeah. Any observations from camp? Any other conversations that we should be made aware of? I know.
Is Jordan Montgomery or Blake Snell just like wandering around? Maybe.
I'm hanging out outside here just in case one of them shows up. I'll keep an eye out.
You could be breaking news, man. I'm just saying.
Yes, I'm going to camp out here all night just in case.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Well, appreciate you being out there, man. You'll be there through Saturday?
I head back to Chicago early Saturday morning. So I'll be here for tonight's game, another game later this week, and then the prospects game between the Cubs and the Sox on Friday.
Awesome.
So that'll be a fun one.
All right.
Awesome. Well, enjoy the Arizona weather. I wish, just for your sake, I could tell you that it's cold here, but it's not. It's like 70 degrees and beautiful.
You're rocking the shorts and everything.
I know.
Steel shorts.
In March.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
This is peak Cody right here. All right.
Love it.
Anyway, have a good rest of your day, man. And everyone follow Jared at J Wyllys on Twitter for all his updates.
With Y's instead of I's.
Yeah, with two Y's.
Right.
2 Y's instead of 2 I's in Willis. So there you go.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Jared.
Thanks, Jared.
All righty. See you guys.
All right. There's one thing I would tell Jared if he was out there. Like, if there was one thing I could tell him to take with him to Arizona.
Sunscreen?
Well, okay, 2 things. Sunscreen, and I should have said that based off the tan that I got out there. So sunscreen is one thing,
pretty bad.
and also you, right? Yeah. Sunscreen is one thing, but also bacon. All right? Those are the 2 things you take to Arizona.
Yeah, sunscreen and bacon.
When you go out to spring training.
Why would you
right?
bring anything else?
Exactly.
All you need, like, those, I don't know, SpongeBob or whatever, when they'd have the stick with the little bandana carrying things on it.
Oh, yeah.
And just walking like that. There's probably an episode of SpongeBob where they did that. You know what he probably had in there was sunscreen and bacon.
Absolutely. All right. Am I going to read this? Are you going to read this?
Oh, yeah.
I put it for you because I know you like bacon.
I got it. Well, I was pulling it up. That's why I was stalling. But no, we love bacon, and we love Charlie the Bacon Guy. Based out of Woodridge, Illinois, Charlie the Bacon Guy makes craft bacon and bacon jams in over 35 different flavors. They're naturally cured, preservative-free products. There aren't any ingredients that Charlie can't pronounce himself involved in the process, unlike most store-bought bacon like erythorbate, and sodium ascorbate, for example. So there you go.
Yes.
Vacuum sealed and freezes perfectly. Bacon lasts in the package up to 60 days in the fridge, 1 week after the seal is broken, and 9 months in the freezer. The bacon jam lasts about 90 days in the fridge and up to 1 year in the freezer. But if you're keeping bacon in the freezer that long, you're absolutely doing it wrong. The bacon jam goes perfectly on anything. Put it on scrambled eggs, toast, with or without jelly, crackers, burgers, grilled cheese, charcuterie boards, cinnamon rolls, pizza, or Charlie's favorite, the spoon. What's your favorite one, Cody? How do you like to consume your bacon and or bacon jam?
Oh, my goodness. My favorite one, it's definitely the raspberry chipotle and the French toast. Those are my
raspberry
two
chipotle
favorite.
and French toast.
Yes.
I love French toast too, but growing up eating a lot of chorizo in my household, I'm personally drawn to that one as well. So, but it's great. Charlie the Bacon Guy has also got the Bacon Vault. All the flavors he's made in the past. If it is not currently available, give Charlie about 2 weeks and he'll make it for you. He's got awesome merch, beanies, hats, t-shirts, stickers, and coffee mugs. Again, some of the favorite flavors of ours. We said chorizo, French toast, raspberry chipotle, but you also got the maple pepper, honey chipotle, Cajun jardiniere, Maui Wowie, and then bacon jam flavors, original, bourbon, mango habanero, cherry, jalapeno. So good. Everything's so good from Charlie the Bacon Guy. So starting now, you can save 10% on your order at charliethebaconguy.com when you use code CHGO at checkout. You can pick it up, which is the most efficient way for you, or he can deliver it to you, meet you halfway, or even ship it. He makes the bacon so you can bring it home.
Absolutely.
Love that.
Another reminder, guys, it's no better time than to become a CHGO diehard. Like 16 days away from opening day, you can become part of the CHGO Discord, where we have the Cubs channel, where we'll be doing extra innings after games.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be, riding the roller coaster of being happy and sad depending on what the Cubs do inside this Discord. But the Discord, it's a lot different than like on, Twitter or Facebook, any of those, because I think there's like respect. I think people respect people in there. I think that's the one thing about the Discord that makes it different than like interacting with other fans on social media. Because I feel like on
like Twitter
on
X,
on X and all that, like no one respects anyone. Listen, I got to take slander every single day on those apps, all right? But it's a cesspool. The Discord, it's a little. I think there's respect, so that's one reason why you should join. We also got. The Chicago collection that came out, we have as far as merch, you can get 20% off if you're a diehard. And then we have these takeovers coming up, which you can get 20% off on these events. We have the Crosstown Showdown with the Sox on June 4th. Then we have the road trip to Milwaukee on June 29th. We'll literally be getting on a bus and going to pay the bills at Miller Park, all right? We have to keep the electricity bill on or pay for the electricity bill. We got to keep the electricity on at Miller Park, right? And then if you want to see me cry, September 6th when the Yankees come to town, and it'll be Anthony Rizzo's return to Wrigley Field for the first time. So whether you like the Cubs or not and you just want to see me cry, you can come to that takeover. Again, you can get those events 20% off. And then like I said kind of earlier, the Chicago collection that we just dropped as far as merch, 20% off on merch, guys, if you're a diehard. I mean, it pays for itself, man. Yeah.
We also have the database that Jared and I put together. Everyone on the Cubs 40 man right now has their own page, their own tab. Comes with a recap of 2023, their 2023 seasons, and a preview of their 2024 outlook. So any guys in the 40 man you want to get a little more information about, we got that exclusively for our diehards. You can look back on it throughout the season, so you don't have to go to all these different pages and look at stats and stuff. We got it all right here for all of you guys. So another diehard perk that we worked hard on, and we have gotten feedback that it's very enjoyable to go through. So
absolutely. Mike in the chat says,
and my newsletters. Had another one go out today. Still free to the public
for now.
Not once the
keyword for now.
Once the regular season starts, we're going diehard exclusive.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. All right. So we've given you all the reasons. Please go become a diehard. All right. Mike in the chat says, watch Juan Soto get adjusted for Wrigley for 2025. He's talking about when the Yankees come to town. Sure. Whatever. You want to talk yourself into that? If that is why you want to come to our takeover on September 6th, hell yeah, brother. I'm in. All right. Don't let me talk myself into it. All right. Okay. So unfortunately, Jared didn't have any comments from Craig Counsell. So make sure you're following CHGO Cubs on Twitter for all that, because we'll definitely be putting, retweeting him or whatever.
Whatever we get, yeah.
Whatever we get, that way, you all can stay updated on what's going on at Cubs camp. But one other thing that we wanted to talk about today was Owen Casey. And I know you talked to him, and I know you're going to write – you said you're going to write something about him later tonight. So this is a little bit of a tease for an article coming out on allchgo.com. But I think with Owen Casey, he's impressed so many people so far this spring in terms of the offense. And I think the big question about him coming into this year was the strikeout rates he's had in the minor leagues. In that article we referenced from The Athletic, he talks about that a little bit, but obviously you got to talk to him about that on top of some other things. What do you got?
So, this is like you mentioned, I talked to him when I was still in Arizona. So this was a little earlier in spring, a few weeks back. Mm-hmm. And just kind of talking to him, kind of reflecting on 2023, but also talking about what it was like being in big league camp at the time and facing big league pitchers and live VPs and stuff like that. And here's a quote that we have from that conversation. I asked him just kind of, what has it been like being part of that and getting to face big league pitching right now early in spring? And he said it really just opened my eyes. Honestly, for myself, just get my timing down right now and get ready, show them what I could do this spring. But there's no pressure. I'm just going to go out and do me. But being around Major League pitching and seeing it is pretty cool because I get a sense of what it's like and really just get a sense of how good they are, but also know that I belong. And I really like that last one, that last part of it, just know that I belong. Just gaining confidence, even if, you strike out one of those times, right? If you're Owen Casey, whatever it is, like gaining confidence, gaining experience against big league pitchers.
Sure.
And so like that last part, knowing that I belong, it was funny because it was maybe the day after he faced Kyle Hendricks in live pitching, maybe a couple days after he faced Kyle Hendricks in live BP. And he actually had an oppo home run off Kyle. And I know, especially at that time, guys are kind of working on specific things and whatever. But still to hit a home run off a guy who's been in the big leagues for, 10 years now? I think he's almost at 10 years. Mm-hmm. It's a good feeling. It has to be a good feeling for the guy. And I asked Owen, did you give Kyle any crap for that after you hit a home run? And he's like, no. He's like, I didn't because he broke my bat 2 at-bats later or something like that. So it's kind of funny because obviously Kyle got a little bit of the best of him after that. But again, it's a way for, while he was still in camp, or in the big league side of camp, to get that experience of facing major league pitchers, whether it's guys like Kyle who have been in there for years and years and years and been doing it at a high level for years and years and years, or it's guys who are just breaking through or guys who have broken through a couple of years ago that are still kind of getting their feet wet in the big league, still completely figuring out what it means to be, or what it means to have success at that level, what it takes. So it's just all good experience for him. And while he was still on that side, on the big league side of camp, helping him build some of that confidence. It's really it's clearly a good thing for a guy like Owen to have that experience and build some of that confidence where he's at.
I think it was Barb in the chat earlier in the show that asked about Owen Casey playing first base. And I believe you also talked to him about playing some first base as well. And I'm intrigued about that just because, listen, the Cubs outfield is pretty loaded, right? Seiya Suzuki is going to get 500-plus at-bats this year if he's healthy. Cody Bellinger is going to get 500-plus at-bats this year if he's healthy. Ian Happ is going to, get 500-plus at-bats if he's healthy, right? Those are your everyday outfielders. And then, PCA eventually, if he makes it back to the majors, which I think we're all pretty optimistic that that's going to happen, they're pretty loaded in the outfield, on top of Mike Tauchman, on top of Alexander Canario, right? So Owen Casey, how is he going to force himself into the Cubs lineup, force himself onto the roster if he's demolishing AAA pitching? I do kind of feel like first base, DH, would be the first area or the first role that he could take, because we still don't know about Michael Busch. As high as I am on Michael Busch, and he hit 2 homers over the weekend. Like I like what we've seen from him so far this spring. Then the Cubs have whether it's Garrett Cooper or Casey at first base.
Yeah, there is, but it's not anything that we should expect anytime soon. Talking to him, it's not a position he played much of at all growing up. He was taking reps there during spring. I asked him about that and what the kind of decision was on that, and that the Cubs or the staff he was working with when he first got there was kind of like, do you want to go get some reps over there, just do that stuff, see, get a little experience over there when he got to camp. And that was something where he's like, okay, I haven't played there before, but I'm willing to go and get some work in. Yeah, go try. And, I didn't get enough. I didn't really get any look at him at first base myself to have a good idea of where he was at a month into kind of a little experiment.
Sure.
But like I said, I think because he's so new to the position, it would be like, it'd be like expecting Christopher Morel to be in the first base group, really, that guy that never played there. Sure. And is like, I don't disagree that I could see Owen Casey playing first base in the future.
Yeah.
Right. And I asked him something like that. I'm like, is this something that you could permanently do? Is that something that you could, that could change for you? And, he said it's actually another one of those, kind of having a big league mindset, whatever helps the Cubs win. I asked him, could you see yourself moving to first base permanently? He said, whatever helps the Cubs win. He's open to it. If he stays there the rest of his career, so be it. Won't be mad about it. But if he doesn't and plays in the corner outfield or whatever, same thing. He's just going through it, and whatever's going to help him. Whatever's going to help him get to the big leagues, but also whatever is going to help the Cubs win. That's where he's fine with whatever the role he has to be in. So you mentioned first base. I don't expect that. I wouldn't expect it myself to be anything we see in the near future. If he were to play first base for the Cubs this year, I would be pretty shocked. But I could totally see him coming up, later in the season as a DH option, or they need some corner outfield help or whatever it is. He is really rising through the ranks. Sure. Which is impressive to see, and for a guy that was the Yu Darvish trade. Yes. To see where he's at now, because he was a teenager when they first got him, right?
Yeah.
You knew he was years away.
And he wasn't the highlight piece from that trade either.
Yeah, so you knew he was years away, and now he's 21 going on 22 in July, and he's already – we're sitting here can Owen Casey maybe make his debut too?
Yeah.
So no, he's on the right path, and he's on a real upward trajectory as long as he continues to develop and improve. First base, don't necessarily see it myself this year, or who knows moving forward, but I can definitely see a scenario where they may need him to come up and contribute at some point throughout the year.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy that I think we certainly will see this year. I'm just curious to how they're going to get him in the field, how they're going to get him in the lineup. And to me, obviously the easiest path is if there is an injury, but I would like to see him in the lineup with a healthy roster too, because I don't take the results seriously in spring training. Legitimately, I do not. But I can't ignore that he's arguably been the Cubs' best hitter this spring. So there's a lot of excitement there, and it's going to be interesting to see how he performs in AAA. I think we'll all be watching the strikeout rate, but the guy has a really high ceiling. He went from not even being a top 100 prospect at the beginning of last year into the top 50. He really took off last year. So yeah, and again, he's a lefty too, and the Cubs don't have a ton of left-handed bats. So yeah, maybe maybe he can be a
power bat too. Lefty bat with what looks to or projects to be scouts are giving him high grades as far as the raw power. That's if you're talking about looking at MLB Pipeline's kind of scouting report on him. This is straight from there. The bat speed from his left-handed swing and projectable strength and leverage in his 6'3" frame could translate into 35 to 40 homers per season as he continues to pull and lift pitches more frequently and makes adjustments at the plate. You're talking about lefty that can hit 35 to 40 homers in a season.
Yeah.
Like, that would be massive for this group that, like you said, just doesn't have a lot of that in the lineup right now.
Yeah, or at least
on
proven
either side,
stuff, right?
On either side of the ball.
Yeah. No, I agree. So, yeah, he could be a huge addition to this team mid-season or later in the year, whatever it is. So I look forward to watching his hopefully last minor league season in the Cubs system. But before we get out of here, I just want to mention that I have seen the picture of Mark McGwire wearing Cubs gear on the internet. And so now in the span of like weeks, I've seen Yadier Molina in a Cubs gear, and now I've seen Mark McGwire. Mark McGwire wearing Cubs gear is my favorite part of the Mason McGwire era so far. I hope that there's more about the Mason McGwire era that I enjoy, but so far it is my favorite part of the Mason McGwire era. I just had to end the show with that. All right. Okay. Big of me to do.
Let you get that one out before we head out.
Anyway, we're back tomorrow, 3:30. Jared will probably have more stuff for us tomorrow. I expect, at least. Yeah, I know you have one more interview that we haven't shared yet. I don't know when we're going to share it, but look forward to that.
Yeah, we got one more. We'll give you the name. Well, maybe we'll do it Thursday and we can tease it a little more on tomorrow.
Okay. Well, just know that there's one more coming. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but we do have one more, and Thursday, maybe that's the day we do it. All right. So thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. Hit that like button on your way out of here. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. We appreciate all of you. Every single one of you. Especially you, Barb. Definitely you. All right? We'll see y'all tomorrow, 3:30. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.